Welcome, golf fans, pursuers of knowledge and the almighty dollar. This is your golf guru. We're going to be breaking down the RSM Classic, my top plays, phase, open up the hood of all my analysis I've been doing to share with you on how I've come to my conclusions. And you'll notice I've changed the intro music. My plans are to change the intro music coming forward. So if you have any suggestions or comments on my intro music you'd like to hear, let's do it. And just for people that are new to my show, just to give you a quick understanding, about 20 minutes. And what's different with me, I might not be as entertaining as some of the other guys, but what I do is break down all the analysis, show you how I've come to my conclusions, and then also allows you to make your own decisions. All right, if you missed my preview show, just real quick, we are in St. Simons, Georgia, a few hours from Augusta, so we have a better field because some of the guys said, hey, I'm here, I'm going to play, need to FedEx points. You've got 156 players, which is not super new for this, but there was a time when it was like 120, 130 man field. So this tournament has grown. More people are coming. Average cut line was about 4 to 1 under. In the last 2 years, it's actually been 19 under to win this thing, and both of them went to a playoff with your victors being Tyler Duncan and Charles Howell. You see there, and then as some other past winners, Cook, Mackenzie Hughes, Kisner. We're looking at Bermuda greens, Bermuda roughs. Also, there's Paspalum mixed in. There is a lot of water and marshes out here. It is not a long course, so it is a 2-course rotation. So there's Sea Island Resort, has SeaSide and Plantation. They'll play SeaSide one on Thursday, and then you'll rotate and play Plantation. And if you make the cut, Saturday and Sunday will be played at SeaSide. So all the information, what we'll be talking about here, is based on SeaSide. We don't have shot link data at Plantation. They don't, or at least have not put shot link data over there because it's only a 1 day kind of, or, well, we'll say 2 days, but split field on there. If you want to watch it, of course, Golf Channel will be covering it, and PGA Live. All right, let's get into this. So give you a little background on how I do this. I am leveraging Fantasy National, which I highly recommend if you start to get into getting into this more and more and want to do your own analysis. It's a great tool. I think it's like $30 a month. But I'm going to break down all the analysis that I've done, give you then my plays and how I got there. So the first thing is recent form. This is just looking at the past 36 rounds and then the shot gain areas that I wanted to focus on. And for this specific tournament, fairways gain is the heaviest weighted. As I mentioned, that's the key. Driving distance, I still put in there just to see, but it's very low weighted because they're going to need to go low, birdie or better. And birdies I did put in there. Greens and reg is typical. We need guys that can hit the greens, also with hitting the fairways. There's also a good drive stat. So that's thrown in. That's a kind of a combination of fairways, distance, and a couple other things, not going into the rough. Tee to green and bogey avoidance, I noticed is key here, that the guys that didn't make a lot of bogeys, as typical, went on to win. And then the approach shots that look key was from 125 to 150, 150 to 175. And then on the par fours, the culmination from both courses, it ended up, the bulk was 4 to 450 or 350 to 400. Of course, approach is important, and putting, as always, was thrown in there. And then what I do is I run a few different ways to look at this, and then I kind of highlight the guys that keep popping up on each of these. And so Russell Henley, Corey Connors, Webb Simpson, Sam Burns, Joel Damon, I notice what's coming up on the other ones. Excuse me. So then what I wanted to do is look at pure course history at SeaSide. And so, again, you have the same shot gain categories we're looking at. And you can see the guys have different, amounts of rounds they played there. But again, the names that kept kind of popping up that was interesting to me: Brian Harmon, Connors, Henley, Webb Simpson. Chappell was interesting. I even did some history on him, and it just was in, and I really couldn't come up to, he didn't do anything great, but for some reason under these shot gain categories, he popped up. And then I take and I add some filters which will go towards the comp course. So this is, you turn on, Bermuda greens, you turn on easy to hit fairways, you turn on less than 7,200 yards, short rough. So you put these different filters in, which then pops up like 5 or 6 courses that will correlate to SeaSide and even Plantation, because they are very similar. And again, this is what you get. And so Webb Simpson popped up, Harmon, and then Knox, I think, popped up on one of the other ones. So I thought was interesting, and Connor. So you kind of take all of this, and then you can kind of start to whittle down the field. And so the first guy, of course, that, and this is, you will hear in the industry, this is a Webb Simpson course. He does very well at courses that are short and accurate because that's what this guy does. And he's just such a well-rounded player. And so what this is looking at is a shot gain over the last 24 rounds. It rates them where they rank. It shows you kind of almost like a stock flow chart of what's going on. And the good news is everything's working its way up. And they give you the ability to click on this. You can look at recent results or tournament history. And what I wanted to do, because I look at both, of course, is put them both on here for you guys. And so, of course, he's had all top 20s on the past 5 events. In his tournament history, he's got a runner-up as he lost in the playoff last year, a third. He had a WD. I don't know exactly what that's for. Maybe he was just playing bad. He just said, I'm out, or maybe he actually had an injury. And then, of course, 41st out of 36. So he's been trending well there. So all the guys that I pick are going to have either really good recent form and some good tournament history, or at least a tournament history. And yeah, that combination. And of course, the ball striking off the tee, all that. All right. I mentioned Russell Henley. He was popping up again, up on the up chart, good recent form. And even though he had 2 cuts in the previous years, as you see, if you do a little further dive, he's done very well at this course. And so I have no idea if his game just wasn't to par at that point or what, but everything telling me of Russell Henley's game that he's going to be a good. And you can see from projected ownership right now that he, and actually, funny enough, he ranks number 1. Now, that's a model, just looking at shot gain. That's not my model. But if you look at just shot gain categories over the last 24 rounds, he comes up number 1. Also, like Harris English, same thing, trending in the right direction. He's only got 1 cut in the last 5 events. And of course, at Shriners, where you need to shoot 700 to make the cut. If you look at the history, it's a little, he's got a T25 and a T46. But everything that I know about Harris English's game should fit this course. So on that, I'm going with Harris. And also, there's another narrative that I'm looking at. Also, and I'm not saying I'm not only playing, but I'm leaning towards guys that did not play in the Masters, even though Webb did. But I think the whole Masters and a lot of golf that these guys have been playing to come to this tournament, I feel like, I don't know if they're just doing it, some of them just because they're there and they didn't maybe play enough, like the Fleetwoods, enough FedEx points, and just kind of like, hey, I'm going to go play this. I never played it before, but I'm here. So I'm kind of leaning against guys that are coming around the Masters. I'll let you know that up front. Corey Connors, now he did play the Masters and did well, real well for Corey, better than I expected for him. But the same thing, he's, one of the most accurate off the tee, and gives you some distance. Of course, he's on the uptick, good recent form, and he's actually played here twice before and had a T23 and a T37. But again, with Corey, I think I'm not as worried about how much play he's had. I trust the game. The putter is where we'll have to worry about. And then Brian Harmon, I like here. Good course tournament history. Even though he's got the 2 cuts a while ago, but T4, T32 to T14. But it's just solid, recent form. It's on the uptick, and the guy is, one of the more accurate drivers of the ball. And this course just kind of fits him. And you can see again, this is projected ownership as of I'm recording this on about 1 o'clock on Tuesday Eastern. So that's going to change a bit, but just you at least can kind of get somewhat of a look. All right, these are my mid-range plays. So more around the 8,000, 7,000 guys that I think that'll do well. And so Taylor Gooch, which is a pretty good value, I think. He's went up a little bit in price for Taylor Gooch, but he's had a great increase in his shot gain total stats. He's had a 2 top 5s in the last 3 tournaments he's been in. He also, got to take a breather from the Masters. And he had a T23 here last year. He had 2 cuts prior to that, but again, where his form is at, I definitely see him doing well here. Sam Burns, which I actually think I was a little shocked at his pricing, and I think it's because we have a stronger field here, but that he was at 7,700. You can already see the projected ownership's a bit up there. Again, on a rising, he has a little tail here, but I consider that for Sam Burns a nice nice upward tick. Again, he had a T7 at the Houston Open. He's been on the cusp of winning a couple of these tournaments here. Usually when you see guys that are coming really close, they're not closing it out. They're learning how to close out. And Burns, I think, is due to, and this is a good tournament for him to win one. And he's been here once before and had a T37. So I like Sam. Denny McCarthy has been playing really good. Again, you can see a strong uptick on his shot gain. He had a T4 at the Bermuda. T6 at Sanderson, kind of the same thing, been nipping. And he also had a T8 here. So for the price, I'm pretty shocked that, again, McCarthy is that low from a price perspective. But again, I think we're getting some help because of the upper guys that are coming here. This was, at Bermuda, which I think he would be costing somewhere around 9-10K. Austin Cook, previous champion here, as you see in 2018. Same thing, he had a little down low, but he's on the uptick here on shot gain. Did great at Houston, a second place at the Shriners, almost won that one. Did win here, as I mentioned, and a good course history. That T61's a little, whatever, but it's not a cut. And again, for the price, I like Austin Cook. And then Aaron Wise, I have been off for a while, but his game has been coming back into form. And if you know anything about Aaron Wise, when he came out, he was very highly touted to be the next, Justin Thomas, DJ, to be elite player. And, he kind of came out and did well and then just kind of fell off the face of the earth. But, at Sanderson Farm, he had a T17, Bermuda T26, and T11. He had a T13 here in 2018. He did miss the cut in 2020, but he was struggling at that point. So I like Aaron Wise. And right now, projected ownership is, below 7%. So if it stays that way, I think it'd be a great play. And then these are my, I think, great value plays. They're at the lower end. They're not my super sleepers or my hidden gems, but they are, I think, solid from a value perspective play. I like Joel Dahman. Again, he's on the uptick. He had a T8 at the Zozo, but last 4 out of 5, he's made the cut. Decent, I'd say decent history here. 2 cuts, but also 2 top 50s. Yeah, nothing to write home about, but I think Joel at this course, it's a course that he can excel at. Harold Varner, he was quite heavily touted and cost-wise. So to get him at 7,400, now you can see his ownership is pretty high because of that, but he's been playing really good. You see his past history here. The Northern Trust doesn't really bother me a whole lot. That's, he's playing in a very high caliber, but you can see at, some of the lower fields, the Houston Open, the Bermuda, just, if I remember, I think he just had one terrible day and that kind of threw his whole game. But decent past history here, T23, T68. He's a very accurate driver. Also gives you length, but he is an accurate driver. It just comes down for Harold, what's the putter going to do that week? As you can see, everything else is way above par against PGA industry. And then Cameron Davis, this one was a little tricky for me. I'm not going to lie, but, I'm a firm believer like a stock, buy low, sell high. And right now, Cameron Davis for a while was, the darling of DFS, just scoring you 100 points, ridiculous. Maybe he wouldn't, end up placing that well in the tournament. The guy produces points. And so from that pure perspective, as a point play, I like him. And even though you can see here over the last, he is trending down a little bit, which you can see at the Shriners and the Houston Open. But not too long ago, the guy was in pure form. So as we know with golfers, it could be one little tiny thing clicks and they're right back. And he played here once, missed a cut. So this one, I would say out of all of them, is probably the model and the stats does not say to play Cameron Davis. What I know about Cameron Davis and from a point perspective is why I'm putting him on here. And so I'm not saying he should be maybe in your core build, but he should definitely be someone that you think about putting in, especially for Showdown. If you play Showdown, definitely look at putting Cameron because he is going to pop one day probably with a nice, mid-60s round. Russell Knox, another guy that I haven't actually been playing, but his game has been trending up. You can see the last couple tournaments, T15 to T16 for 7,200. Again, the putter, it's all about the putter with Knox. And he's had a decent history here, made the cut out at 4 out of 5. And not only has he made the cut, he's at a couple, T20, a T27. He's been consistent, consistently done well here. So I like Russell Knox. And then Tringali, always for him and Fratelli, they kind of came out at the same time, and they remind me, you know, their game is not exact, but they do remind me a bit of each other. Everything's been positive with Tringali. It's just been on the way up. Shriner's had a T19, so out of the last 5 events, you know, 2 cuts, but 3 makes. And when he does make, you know, he's getting you a top 40 or above. And he's played well here. You know, it's either almost like a T20 or a cut. So, you know, I think the course suits him well, and I like where his game's at. So Tringali will be a guy that I'll be rostering. Then let's get into my fades real quick. I am fading Jason Day for multiple reasons. The price, and you can see projected ownership right now is not too highly on him. You know, you can kind of see the Masters tournament where he came out, you know, he had that T70 Houston, and then he just had such a, and I think it's all about the body. What does the body allow in Jason doing? He's played a lot of golf for Jason Day. And a lot of it, again, if you think about the COVID shutdown, a lot of these guys, even though that season's over, but a lot of those guys had to play a lot during that time to make the FedEx playoffs or even positioning in the FedEx playoffs. And of course, they're going to play in the Masters. He played in Houston, you know, to kind of warm up for the Masters. And you can even see he played here once before in a almost T60 for the prices. Yeah, I'm out on Jason Day. Now he could go out and shock me. But yeah, for that kind of money, I'm going to fade him. And then Fleetwood, that's shocking that he's almost at 11,000 for what he's been doing. Fleetwood's had some success over on the European tour, but he's had no success here. Now, yes, he had one good day at the Masters and ended up at T19. And, you know, maybe that's what it's all based off of, but you can see the Zozo, the CJ Cup, the US Open, the Northern Trust, nothing is showing anything good. And he's never played here before. And he's also been a little, you know, for Fleetwood, you know, nicknamed Fairway Jesus, used to be very accurate off tee, but he's had some issues there, issues on the approach, as you can see. So, you know, that pricing, there's no way. And again, you can see that the smart money already, or at least the smart guys building lineups, have not selected him. Terrell Hatton. This is one that, you know, could come back to bite me a little bit, but I think Terrell, he even showed at the Masters. I think he's just played too much golf. How this guy is still doing. I think he, you know, again, I think a lot of these guys were already here, and before they go on their holiday shutdown, and we don't see them again until January, February, that they're like, you know what, I'm gonna play this last one, you know, put a little money in the bank maybe, and you know, you might get a top 20 or something. It's not a bad paycheck, and I'm already there. So that's my feelings. That's appears. I'm not saying, you know, he's got no tournament history here. I'm not saying his game can't fit here. You know, typically pretty accurate off the tee, pretty good iron player. You know, he could come back and bite me, but I'm going on the whole thought that you just play too much golf and you're just playing because you're here. And that's my theory. Sticking with it. Joaquin Niemann, he's on here. I didn't even check. I probably should have before I did this. Right now, he was on the roster. I'm guessing he's still going to play, but I'd be a little shocked after the COVID thing and all that if he could, you know, if he's good to go. So that's really what this is all about is I've watched the guys that come off the COVID break, and if they actually had symptoms and dealt with certain things, they were rusty. Scotty Scheffler, a perfect example. It took a while for him to get back. So for, you know, the price tag, again, will I maybe sprinkle him in some places, but he will not be in my core build. And then Jason Kokrak, same thing. I think, you know, a lot of people will put him because, you know, he does gain a lot off the tee, but I think his length is going to be shut down here where he can't gain as much. You know, you got to be accurate. So, you know, not saying these guys can't hit a 3-iron or a hybrid off the tee, but then it just makes them like anybody else that's very accurate with their driver. So that takes away that. And typically, you know, I don't know. I think he's played a lot of golf. He had his win at the CJ Cup in Vegas. I'm just for that price, I think I'm going to be fading him. And then also you can look at his history. He in 2014 had a T10, but the last 4 times it's kind of telling you that this course does not set up for him. But if he's playing in it, he must like something about it because I don't know why he wouldn't just take a pass. But again, I guess, you know, you got the same adage. They're right next door to this place. Why not play? And that is it. Do me a big favor. If you like what you're seeing here, please hit the like button. If you know someone else that does betting on golf or DFS for golf, please share this content or, you know, ask them to come check it out. And subscribe. If you're not a subscriber, I put out multiple shows a week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You'll get notified as soon as it releases. And I'm going to start running a contest here or there, just keep things kind of loose. I ran one for the Masters. I don't know if I'll do one for this one, but maybe the next tournament we'll do some kind of fun. And then if you have a suggestion on intro music, let me know. I'm going to be playing around with that. So thanks so much. All the best to us for the RSM Classic. Check me out tomorrow. I will be releasing my hidden gems. That is the guys that are less than 10% owned, less than 7K. And all the best to us. May your lineups be live in 6 for 6 going into the weekend. Thank you.